Oklahoma's prisons are bursting at the seams. The city of Norman receives a dubious distinction, and we'll talk to a New York Times journalist about terrorism. OU Nightly starts now. It's no secret that Oklahoma has a prison problem. With one of the nation's highest rates of incarceration, keeping so many prisoners behind bars is breaking the state's bank account.
Oklahoma prisons are bursting at the seams, yet new inmates arrive every day. Nightly's Braden Long shows us just how bad the overcrowding has become.
There's not a lot left in small-town northern Oklahoma. Empty streets and a prison with a problem. 1,400 murderers, sex and drug offenders shoved in a facility built for 800.
James Crabtree Correctional Facility here in Helena, Oklahoma was originally built as a college, but now it has a warden with an overcrowded population and a state with no answers.
The facility has housed orphans, been a high school and a juvenile facility. Now, with a more volatile, higher number of residents, housing becomes more complicated.
Within a one-year period, we increased our population by 300 bodies.
Oklahoma claims 5th place on the list of most inmates per capita.
In 1990, there was 12,000 inmates in the system. Today, we have over 28,000.
But inmate population isn't the only problem for many state prisons.
Telephone lines, they're obsolete. There are 3 housing units that were built in 1934. The crumbling bricks, the crumbling mortar, windows that are loose.
The reason? A familiar one, in a state plagued with a $1 billion budget hole.
We are authorized 121 correctional officers, and right now we have 68, so that's almost half. Ensuring that our staff are safety with the number of correctional officers is extremely important, and when the funding's not there for that, then we start to be really concerned.
And like many wardens statewide, Bryant sees only one way to ease prison overcrowding.
We would have liked to have seen the possibility of sentencing reform. I think that is really the only way that we feel like is going to be a difference in the number of inmates that are in the system right now.
For now, prisons across Oklahoma continue to bring more and more inmates in, with fewer and fewer means of housing them. Braden Long, OU Nightly.
Oklahoma has over 1,600 public water supply systems, and 19 have been detected to contain lead. The Department of Environmental Quality's most recent test shows that only 1 out of the 19 detected waterways has lead levels higher than the EPA's requirements. The lead test results come from both public waterways and individual residencies. The Oklahoma Water Quality Division Director says lead can come from many things like groundwater or inadequate treatment, but old plumbing fixtures from homes is the most common cause.
It's primarily what we see is the plumbing inside homes or the service line that is the property owner's line.
There are nearly 2,000 water systems in the United States that have excess lead in them, according to the USA Today's investigation. The weather has been great, but it's a little windy.
Always windy, but it's Oklahoma. What do you expect?
Right.
Grant, what can you tell us about the weather?
That's right, always windy here in Oklahoma. Across the state right now, winds mainly in the teens, 20 out in Elk City, gusting to as high as 30 in most of these locations. Right now in here in Norman, though, 75. Winds out of the north at 17 miles per hour, humidity of 31%. All these conditions setting up for dry weather, giving us this red flag warning that most of north central Oklahoma is in, and this high fire danger weather. Now later in Maine weather, I'll have when will these winds finally calm down? The temperatures this weekend, it's going to be a warm one, and the chance for rain. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Grant. The city of Norman was given an award from the Oklahoma Freedom of Information Organization, but it's not the type of award you might be thinking of. Norman received the Black Hole Award after refusing to release the videotape of football player Joe Mixon assaulting a woman last year. The award recognizes an organization for restricting the free flow of public information. 2 Norman residents sued the city last year for withholding public records, and one of them is speaking out about Norman not abiding by open records law.
It's not open government, and it's not in compliance with the Open Records Act when they charge search fees if it's deliberately designed to prevent the public from accessing records.
Joseph Quinton joins us now in studio. Joseph, what's the latest on the Panama Papers?
There's been no shortage of news stories coming out of the 11 million leaked documents known as the Panama Papers. A number of prominent people have been exposed by the papers, and last night, United Kingdom Prime Minister David Cameron confessed to having a stake in his father's offshore investment fund. Belgian prosecutors have released new footage of the third suspect from last month's bombings in Brussels. We first saw surveillance video of the suspect pushing a luggage cart next to the other people involved in the attacks. The new footage shows the man leaving the airport and shows him in different clothing after reaching a neighborhood near the airport. ISIS militants captured more than 300 workers at a Damascus cement factory today. Al Bidayah Cement Company has not been in contact with the staff all afternoon. Witnesses say they saw the abductors forcing about half of the kidnapped workers on buses, presumably to take them to areas formerly more under control by ISIS. And a U.S. airstrike in Iraq today leaves 2 dead in an effort to take out fighters from ISIS.
Thank you, Joseph. And speaking of ISIS, a top U.S. counterterrorism official said European countries can do more to screen terrorists. FBI Terrorist Screening Center Director Christopher Paiota says the U.S. shares its watch list with European countries, but they don't systematically utilize the list to identify suspected terrorists for screening immigrants. Nightly is fortunate today to be joined by award-winning journalist who covers the Pentagon and national security policy for the New York Times. Tom Shanker is with Nightly's Annie Durbin in the newsroom.
Thanks, guys, and thanks so much for joining us, Tom.
Annie, it's a great honor to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, yeah. Well, let's first start by talking about the day al-Qaeda members hit the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, and you were actually there on your way there. Tell us about that day and how it's influenced your reporting since.
Yeah, I was on the bus on the way to the Pentagon, where I went every day, and we knew about the hit on the Twin Towers, but in those first minutes, people thought it might have been just a horrible airline accident. But then as we got close, you know, the Pentagon was in flames. And of course, traffic came to a standstill. All cell phones were just jammed. So a colleague and I actually tried to start running toward the Pentagon.
Welcome back. Looking to get into Oklahoma arts, Shay Smith has all the info you need in this week's Oklahoma Arts and Entertainment Report. Shay?
That's right, Haley. Mainside Contemporary Art is the home of the Norman Arts Council and the central hub of Norman art. Last Saturday, they held their biggest fundraiser event of the year in order to keep the lights on at the downtown Norman Gallery. The event was Cuban themed and guests enjoyed Cuban food and cigars as well as live music. Director Aaron Gavigan said this annual event raises money for the nonprofit Norman Arts Council to be able to pay their bills at the main site and continue to provide support for local artists and programs.
So this is how we keep the lights on, the paint on the walls in main site. We pay the rent here. It's how we pay our staff. It's very important for us to be able to keep operating. You know, we have to raise the money that it costs to run an organization. So that is what is.
People can go to main site at any time to check out exhibitions of local artists. And the Union Programming Board wants to provide outlets for students to express their creativity. That is why they are putting on Speak Freely, a poetry slam tomorrow night. The show will have a coffee house feel to it as guests enjoy coffee and cookies and listen to 8 students recite their work. The event starts at 7 o'clock in the Meacham Auditorium, and best of all, it is free to students. And the Tibetan monks are traveling from their monastery in India to Norman to share their culture with Oklahomans. There will be numerous events held between April 10th and 16th when Norman residents will be able to experience what the monks have to offer. To find out about the events being held, you can visit www.normanarts.org. Now, if you guys have been wondering what to do in the next few days or few weeks, there you have it.
Yeah.
That's a long way to travel from India to Oklahoma.
Definitely.
Thank you, Shay.
Thanks, Shay. Well,
coming up,
OU's 17th annual Day of Community Service is this Saturday. This year, about 5,800 volunteers will go to over 150 job sites. Volunteers spread out across the Oklahoma City metro area will work to help restore locations in the community. Job sites appreciate the extra hands when it comes to getting big tasks done that they otherwise would not be able to accomplish. This year, the big event will see the most volunteers since it began in 1999. Still ahead on OU Nightly, it's football time in Oklahoma. Really? And Grant will show us a forecast for Saturday's kickoff.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Grant Tosterud. Well, a couple disturbances working their way across the country right now, one off of California, Arizona, and Nebraska, and another huge center of low pressure circulating over the Great Lakes, giving New York and New England some rain and a few snow showers through Michigan and Minnesota. Here across the state right now, mostly in the 70s, 75 here in Norman, so pretty nice out there today. Still have to deal with those winds, and because of that, we've got a red flag warning in these red counties in north and north central Oklahoma. Now, speaking of fires, we have this 305 complex fire just north of Woodward in northwest Oklahoma. You can see this on the satellite map right here, this dark spot right there. There's Woodward. And then we had a huge fire in Kansas. That was Kansas's largest fire in history just at the end of March. And you can see those burn scars up here in North Oklahoma and Kansas. Now, as we look at the future, we'll have this cold front move through today. The strong northerly winds will hang with us, but by tonight, a relief from these winds and for those firefighters as well. By tomorrow morning, though, a weak center of high pressure will move its way across the state, bringing with it a change of winds. They'll switch to out of the south and remain calm for most of the day by tomorrow evening. But by early Saturday morning, we're going to see a few clouds move their way in with a chance of shower here or there. And then by Saturday night and early Sunday morning, those will move out with a few rain showers. Strong southerly winds will continue with us, but this is our next storm maker, bringing with it a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Later tonight, cool in the 40s. Tomorrow, as you head out the door, 46. Tomorrow, highs in the 70s. But look at our 7-day, a beautiful Saturday with a few passing showers in the mid-70s. 81 on Sunday with the best chance for showers Sunday night and Monday, and then after that, clear and mild.
Clear skies, I love it, and you know what that means for us. Clear skies is springtime, it means golf. Steven, what can you tell us about sports?
That is right, the Masters are well underway, and I have the lowdown on who is stepping up this spring for the Oklahoma Sooners football team. Sports is around the corner. I'm Stephen Mudd, and this is OU Nightly Sports. The Oklahoma Sooners are gearing up for their annual spring game, and there's a lot to be excited about, from the stadium expansion to the depth at running back and the return of star quarterback Baker Mayfield. However, the Sooners seem to be pretty excited about the senior leadership of transfer wide receiver Geno Lewis.
He's been a good leader by example, and he's also helped create even more competition at a spot that there already was competition. And so those guys know right now, I mean, every one of them, that if they slack off in any way, then then they're not going to be playing. And Geno's been kind of one of the guys leading the charge on that.
As I mentioned before, there's a lot to be excited about this spring. One of those is the expansion to the football stadium. Tomorrow, our own Lindy Simpson will take you through the progression of the stadium and how it's going. But enough about football. It's softball season, and the Oklahoma Sooners are on fire. Last night, the Sooners defeated the Wichita State Shockers 10-1 in 5 innings. Paige Parker held the Shockers to 2 hits and no runs while striking out 4 batters in 4 innings. This run rule marks the 11th run rule of the season for the 12th-ranked Sooners. The women will travel to Waco this weekend to take on Baylor in a 3-game series. Round 1 of the Masters is going strong under sunny skies in Augusta, Georgia this afternoon. Right now, defending champ Jordan Spieth leads at 6 under with a bunch of players still out on the course. Yesterday's 3-part contest produced a record 9 aces, including a couple that came on back-to-back swings. On the 130-yard 4th hole, Justin Thomas hit his wedge well past the hole and used the backspin perfectly. After Thomas swiped high fives with Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler, it was Fowler's turn. His shot didn't go quite as far past the hole, but he judged his spin perfectly, and as the saying goes, boom goes the dynamite. Hole in one on back-to-back swings. Let's hope the tournament lives up to the Wednesday action. The Oklahoma City Thunder were in action last night as they tipped off against the Portland Trail Blazers. The game didn't start or end well for the Thunder as they lost 120-115. But with the Thunder sitting 4 of their 5 starters, there was room for others to step up. Enter Enes Kanter. This guy was improbable, sensational, straight bonkers. Kanter scored 33 points, snagged 20 rebounds, shot 72% from the field. Have a day, big fella. Kick your shoes off and relax. Give him the 6th man award. Jeez. And as you may know, I love Peyton Manning. So when something about him comes up, I'm going to talk about it. So enjoy this sweet remedy of Rocky Top sung by Peyton in a Tennessee bar with country singer Lee Brice.
I love that song. Great song.
Yeah,
But,
I haven't seen that video. It was
Good.
great.
And Peyton went to Tennessee. Great. You love the guy, but that's his fault. He went to Tennessee and we beat him.
We did.
In double overtime.
We beat them.
Thanks, Steven. Still to come on OU Nightly, if you thought dinosaurs were extinct, well, you may be surprised to see this.
I'm Allie Stratton at the OU Nightly Update Desk. A dangerous man who escaped a Washington State psychiatric hospital is now in custody, but the man he fled with, who was committed after being charged with murder, remains on the loose. And police have dropped charges against an Oklahoma man accused of flying a drone carrying drugs, weapons, and cell phones into the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. That's it for now. Back to you in the studio.
The waters in Florida are a little more clear after this big catch. Some hunters down in Florida caught what may be the largest alligator on record in the state. This big gator weighs a total of 780 pounds. When the father-son duo found the gator, he was already dead, but they pulled him out of the water using their tractor.
That's crazy. Grant, what can we look for in the weather tonight?
Pleasant tonight, cool overnight, but then warm again tomorrow.
Awesome, thanks. Well, thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.